Hello, my name is Brenda. My channel is Handwork Maniac. And today we're going to do a WIP parade, which is showing you all of my projects that I have started but not finished yet, that I am ending the year 2024 with and bringing into 2025. I know I started the year with 51 works in progress, WIPs, projects that I was actively working on, and I'm ending the year with 63, I think. So I added a few this year. Oh dear. I have them in order of oldest to newest. Oh, in case this is the first video of mine that you've watched, lots of people love WIP parades. I love WIP parades. I watch all the WIP parades this time of year, just all of them. I am 59. I'm married with 4 grown children, 7 grandchildren, recently retired. I can stitch for however long I want, except for church responsibilities and babysitting and taking care of my parents who are elderly. And stitching is my happy place. That's all I can think of. Oh, I've been stitching since 1983 when I was 18. I found a cross-stitch pattern in a 5 and dime store with some floss and started, and I've been stitching ever since. So a long time to collect all of this stuff. But I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, the oldest WIP is the Disneyland full coverage map. Disneyland -kit is what it was called, but it was a PDF pattern by Neni Designs on Etsy. There are several versions of this on Etsy. Mine only has 50 something colors in it. Wow. It's a bit of a mess. There we go. It is on 40 count Dwarf by Picture This Plus. That from falling off my lap. 1/2, 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads, full cross. I love taking this to Disneyland and sitting next to whatever part I'm working on and stitch a little bit of it while I'm stitching there. I'm not stitching the background, which is sometimes a little tricky to figure out what is the background and what isn't. And I do use the parking method. That's why I have all those threads hanging down. They're parked in the next place where that color is going to be used. And next is a stitching shelf. Also, I have an Earth Design full coverage. Also a full coverage. The artwork is by Amy Stewart. Mine's just the regular version. I had so many stitch-alongs this year that my full coverage languished this year. But I'll be doing a plans video next, and I'll talk about what my plan is for that. This is what I have so far on that one. 25 count even weave, 1/1 full cross. And then next is Bless This House Sampler by Theron. It was a class piece I took through my EGA guild. No, through the Swan Sampler Guild, I think. So she comes to teach the class and you buy the kit from her. This is what I have so far. Lots of specialty stitches. Finished the grass, starting on the house. So excited. And then the same day that we took that class from her, or the same weekend, I should say, it was several days, we also did this one, an Irish Blessing Sampler by Theron. And I'll work on this one when I finish the other one. So this is just what I finished that week that we were in the few days that we were in class and the week after. I finished the Montenegrin border while I was still had it in my head how to do the Montenegrin without looking at the directions. And I have one letter done and one raspberry. This one's cool because all the raspberries in the border are different stitches. Also a class piece, you have to get the kit from her when you take the class from her. All right, let's put those two over here. Oh, this would be, those were from 2017. And now we're into 2019 starts. This is R-Kade, R-Kade by Long Dog Samplers. Mine is on Picture This plus Conifer, 40 count. I'm using Silks for You, one strand of silk over 2 fabric threads in 2 colors. In this autumn color combination, blended thread, not blended, overdyed silk. And then this lighter color, which is like a really light celery green color, taupey green. This one is Patchwork Sampler by Jen Houtman, which I did start in 2019, but I have restarted it 3 times, not restarting it again. It's in its final version, but it should be a lot further along than it is, considering I started it in 2019. It's on 46 count antique white linen, 1/2. And I'm just using a whole bunch of leftover, mostly overdyed silks that I have from other projects. Doing each motif in a different floss, different silk. And I'm going to do a section of purples and then kind of move into some blues and then kind of move into some greens. This is Sleeping Princess by Mirabilia. Mine is on 32 count water lily linen with the called for DMC, 2/2. Oh, she's just gorgeous. Those colors get me every time. I have made it to the bottom of the bed. She's so pretty. And this is my last class piece from Theron. It was another class that I took from her in 2019. Morning Has Broken. Or I started it in 2019. I think I got the pattern from her while I was taking another class from her. And this is what I have so far. This one has a whole bunch of spiral trellis in it, so I'm going to have to practice my spiral trellis stitch. Lots of different specialty stitches. Still in 2019. What is that? Oh. Nope. Cross Stitch Antiques, Band of Roses, 1845. The picture is of the actual antique sampler. And then someone, Catherine at Cross Stitch Antiques, has charted it. I'm using the called for DMC, except for this dark blue up here. I changed to a Versoix silk. That's almost the exact same color as the DMC. And then these light blue letters are also in a Gloriana silk, I believe. No, Dinky Dyes maybe, Pacific Ocean. And then the rest is the called for DMC. And it's on, oh, .40 count Maritime White by Lakeside Linens, 1/2. And yes, the silks I used were a Versoix 1416 and Dinky Dyes Pacific Ocean. This is Praiseworthy Stitches, a Churchyard Christmas. Mine is on the called for 32 count Mirage linen by Picture This Plus, 2/2. I'm only about halfway across. Across the bottom it says Joy to the World, and I'm just barely starting the end of the. using the called for overdyed thread. And this red border has a little bit of sparkly Kreinik in it. And so does the green words. All right, this is the beginning of 2020. Things I started in 2020. This is it's 4 seasons, but it's the mini version by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artist is Jacek Yarka. Move the needle minders out of the way. And it goes this way. "25 count even weave, 1/1 full cross." This is Serenity Harbor by the Bay Needle Arts. Mine is on 40 count Lakeside Vintage Lentil. I started with the called for DMCs, and then any color that was going to be used in large blocks of color, like the grass, I changed to an overdyed, either cotton or silk. Just because I like the way it looks in large blocks of color. This is what I have so far. Love working on this every time. Oh, shit. Oh, that. I'm seeing that needle minder right there and thinking, what is that? That's better. Such a beautiful, it's just a beautiful piece. This is Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. Mine is on 36 count antique white linen, and I'm stitching it with sulky thread, 1 strand over 2. SULKY, it's a cotton. 12 weight. They have several weights of thread. They have thinner weights for sewing machines, but this is 12 weight, so it's a little bit thicker than like embroidery floss. It's not quite like 2 strands of floss, but close, like a strand and a half put together. It's a little bit thicker, so I just use 1 strand right off the spool. And then I'm using sulky 12 weight 1095 for all the animals, and sulky 12 weight 1271, this dark green solid color for the border. So with that sulky 12 weight, it's 1/2 on 36 count. There we go. I just think it's gorgeous. Just beautiful. All right, we're still in, this is the last one for 2020. Beachcomber by Neni Designs on 25 count, even weave, Lugana, 1/1 with the called for DMC. Love that one. These are the Praiseworthy alphabet. They're just called ABC, and then there's a leaflet for DEF, GHI. I'm stitching them all on the same piece of fabric, but they're not all the same size. They're just slightly different, about 70 by 100. So I'm modifying them as I go to make them all 70 by 100. And I combined a couple of letters. G and H, I'm just going to take elements from each of them and make it into one, and also for V and W, so that I can make a layout like this. And it's on 28 count cream casual linen, 1/1 on 28 count. What did I do with it? Oh, there it is. And I did change, the red was a really dark red, and I couldn't see the difference between the red and the black in the letters, so I changed it to the lighter red that is used later in the letters. This is the 12 Days of Christmas series by Liz Matthews. I'm doing all 12 on one piece of fabric. This is number 3. It's 46 count white, linen. 46 count white linen, antique white linen. 1/2 with the called for MPI silks. This is the Zimmerman coverlet by, Modern Folk Embroidery. Mine is on 56 count linen with 1 strand of DMC 121. It's a variegated blue. 1/2. I think it goes that way. Oh, ABC started 2021 WIPs. And we're still in 2021. This is Autumn Cat by Heaven and Earth Designs. Well, it's just called Autumn. I call Autumn Cat. The artwork is by Maria Petit. Mine is on 25 count even weave in the color Moss. I started on the middle of his back, the top middle of his back. One over one, full cross. This is the last one for 2021. And it's Marquois Mystery by Isabelle Harcourt-Vautier. I decided to do mine in colors of blue. I'm using Gloriana in the Navy, Dinky Dyes Pacific Ocean, DMC 644 for the little bit of shadowing that I did, and Rainbow Gallery PB10 for the accents on the letters. It's on 46 count antique white linen. And I'm just choosing, these are all one color in the pattern, these in-between squares. So I'm just choosing what part to do in the light blue and what part to do in the dark blue. Okay, 2022. These are the WIPs from 2022. My list is clear over there on the chair that goes to the sewing machine. Primavera Incita by Corachete Agogo. Spring in the City. I'm using the called for DMC on 46 count raw by Zweigert. My daughter Catherine took it home for my birthday and Mother's Day and finished all the border for me. She's so amazing. So this year I'll be working on this bottom section. 1/2 with the called for DMC. This is a Lenarte kit called 4 Seasons. The artwork is by Marjolaine Bastine. It came as a kit, and I'm using the kit fabric, which is 28 count Lugana. Two over 2. And I should have taken it off of the key snaps before the video. Today is January 2nd, 2024, by the way, in case I didn't say that. I'm making 3 videos today. The December update, this one, and 2025 plans. Okay, I started in the middle on the bouquet of flowers that's right in the middle, so that I could work out from there and work on whatever season we were in at the time. So this is what I have so far. And so I always do just a little bit on that bouquet in the middle before I work on that season. So pretty. Oh, and then I started the Christmas Afghan, Christmas Village Afghan by Stony Creek. It is an actual Afghan. I'm using the called for fabric, which is 20 count white Lugana, and I'm following the directions, which is 4 strands of DMC over 2 fabric threads, 4 over 2. And this is what I have so far. There's one overdyed color in this. It's these blue for these snowflakes, but everything else is just DMC. Like these letters have like 9 colors of brown in them to make that gorgeous shading. Oh, are we still in 2022? Yes, we are. So it was in 2022 that I decided to do all of the spring montages. There is a full coverage version from Pain Free Crafts. That's this picture. And then there's also, you can get all 4 of them in kits from Jan Lynn. So the coloring is a little different. I chose to do the kit version, and I'm using the kit floss, but I'm not using the 14 count Ada that came with it. I overdyed some 36 count mocha linen that looked more like this color as a background. I dyed it myself. And I'm using 2 strands of the kit floss. This is what I have so far on spring. And then I started Miss Hathaway's Garden. It's a Marty Bell artwork, and it's a kit. I got it in a kit, in a Marty Bell kit version. And I am using the kit floss, but I chose some linen to do it on. I'm doing it on 32 count Picture This Plus Arial 2/2 with the kit floss, because it called for 1,000 colors. I don't know, it's a huge amount of colors, and it was so much easier. Those needle minders are not going to behave. To get it kitted in a kit. Have some roof and some clouds done. This is Consider the Lilies by Heartstring Samplery. Mine is on 46 count Flax Linen by Zweigart. It's the called for threads. I think they're all over dyed. 1/2. And then that summer was the anniversary of the opening of Disneyland. So Colette, the highway stitcher, and I decided to start this one, Electrical Light Parade Mandala by Atomic Tiki Pins on Etsy. You can do it all in floss, or you can do part of it with beads. I'm doing the beaded version. That's about probably 1/3 beads. So it looks like the Electric Parade. Mine is on 18 count Blackboard Ada with the called for threads and beads. And sitting over here, this is what I have. What can I put behind it? And I'm beading as I go. It looks like it's all beads, but it's really only about 1/3 beads, and the rest is stitching. I haven't put any beads yet on this clock. The turtle is a lot of beads. And then when we hit the summer solstice, I started summer montage. Here's the Pain-Free Crafts version and the Jan Lynn Kit version. On that same piece of fabric that I dyed myself, using the kit floss 2/2. And then on the first day of fall, I started fall montage on that same piece of fabric. And then on the first day of winter, I started the winter montage. On the same piece of fabric. I'm not quite done backstitching all of that section right there. Still in 2022. I think this was right at the end of the year. Haberdashery Shop by Doreen Jones. Mine is the Called for DMC 1/1 full cross on 25 count easy count. I've only done the back stitching right here. And then this was right at the end of the year as well. Letters B by Gigi R. It's on 46 count antique white linen. And I'm using a DMC variegated color 4515. It's kind of blues and browns. 1/2. And my daughter Catherine took it home and did all, I had like this part done and maybe a tiny bit of this, and she did all of that because she knows how much I love borders. Not. I just love that color of floss. Oh. And then in 2023, yes, now we're in 2023. I started Countryside Afghan by Mill Hill and Jim Shore. And I'm doing it on the called for fabric, which is Fireside Afghan fabric in white/ivory color. This one is also 4 strands of DMC over 2 fabric threads. With a needle minder right in the middle. Okay. I'll fix that later. This is Summer by Sarah G. Estate or Ete or Summer. With the called for DMC on 40 count. Oh my gosh, where's the card? Scout. 40 count Scout by Seraphim. This is Home is Where My Stitching Is by the Primitive Hair. I'm doing mine on 36 count agave linen. And I'm using white floche for most of it by DMC. 12 weight Sulky, S-U-L-K-Y, in the color 1149, 1229, and 1271. One over 2. Oh, yep, still in 2023. This is Black Vintage Sampler by Owl Forest Embroidery. It's just one color, all black. And I had which is no longer in here anymore. I started it on some 18 count white Aida that was, or 20 count white Aida that had a sparkle in it, opalescent, with 12 weight sulky, S-U-L-K-Y, the thicker sulky black. But I didn't like it. I did not enjoy working on it, so I'm going to restart it on I think this is 46 count silver fox with 103 silks in black. So not much to see there because that's a restart. This is Retour au Chalet, Return to the Cabin, I believe, by Madame Lafille. I'm doing it on 46 count Everything Else by Mystic Fabrics. Oh, here's the cover picture. This one is Give Thanks by Glendon Place. Mine is on 28 count vintage country mocha with the called for threads. Some of it is specialty threads that are 1/2, and then the regular DMC is 2/2. This is Halloween Sampler by Teresa Kogut. It's in this Hello Halloween book. Here it is. Mine is on 46 count Dark Mountain by XJU Designs. 2/2 with the called for 1/2 with the called for floss. This is Jardin Privé ABC de la Bradou. And I'm doing it on some banding which I think is 24 count Aida banding that has a yellow edge to it. 1/1 with the called for DMC. This is Christmas Eve Sampler by Joan Elliott. I'm doing it on the called for fabric, which is 28 count Daybreak by Pole Stitches. And I'm using Flosh by DMC. It's a thicker thread that's almost, it's a little fuzzy, like a really thin yarn. In the color 310. And for the gold parts, I'm using Krynic number 4 braid 028. Look how beautiful that fabric is. And this is what I have so far. Using 2 strands of the Flosh on this 28 count even weave. This is my snow day project that I work on days that it snows at my house, called Snow Day by Shannon Christine. Her directions have 3 different colorways in them for you to choose from, and then she just has a neutral fabric that would go with all of them. I chose this colorway, these teal colors, and I loved this mock-up photo that has the light blue background, so I chose a light blue fabric. Mine is on 32 count light blue Lugana by Zweigart. And instead of the gold beads, I'm using Petite Treasure Braid PB02, and then I will use the white, where it calls for white beads, I will use white beads. And then I changed the white to B5200. 2/2. Oh, itchy nose. And we're working up here on the top, found the corner over here. And then this was the last start in 2023. This is the Fabulous Houses Stitch Along by Cottage Garden Threads. Well, series, not stitch along, series. I made it into a stitch along where I was stitching each house each month, but someone said, I didn't think that was a stitch along. I said, well, no, it was just crazy me that was trying to do it 1 a month. Number 12 was the Log Cabin. And then she released a bonus pattern, number 13, which is the Tudor House. And I decided to do, I'm doing them all on 1 piece of fabric. And the house number 11 was a little too creepy for me. So I had a little bit done of it. I picked it out because she announced that the Tudor House was coming out, and I'm replacing it with the Tudor House right there. So I'll just have 12 houses. And this is what I have so far. Let's see if we can get it to straighten out. I did change the white. I think it calls, if there's white in the house, it calls for 3865, and I changed it to white or blanc, DMC blanc. My fabric is 46 count Prehistoric by Fox and Rabbit, which is the called for color, but the called for count is 40, and I'm doing it on 46 count. Called for DMC. There's usually an overdyed in each house, 1 or 2 overdyeds. I'm using those. I did change the door of the Hobbit house. It was in browns. I changed it to greens. I used the green that was already in that house over here, and then I chose a slightly darker green. Kept the pattern the same with the stripes and the scroll work. And I'm gonna sew a gold button on for the gold doorknob, because that's what it says in the Hobbit book. I'll put the colors that I used in the description box below. Here's the barn with the sunflowers and the cows. I love the cows. The lighthouse is not quite done yet. The floating house is not quite done yet. It goes clear out to here. The fairy house is done. Here's the start of the Tudor house. And then here's what I have of the log cabin. It'll be down at the bottom. I've loved every one of them. And I'll just keep working on it, probably an hour every day. Should finish it in January or February. All right, now I have to reach over to the 2024 starts. This is Portrait of Christ. It's a Jen Lynn kit. The artwork, original artwork, was by Warner Salman. I'm using the kit floss, but I'm not using the 14 count Ada that came with it. Mine is on 32 count French Vanilla by Live and Die LA, 2/2. This one is the Teresa Kogut Hometown Stitch Along. That's part of her, the Stitch Along is in her Patreon group. It's a 2-year Stitch Along, so we're halfway done now. We've done this first year. I'm 2 months behind, I think, but I'll get caught up this month. Mine is on 46 count Buttercream by Lakeside Linens. 1/2. This is Spring Moon by Plum Street Samplers. I'm using the called for floss, and the fabric I chose is 46 count Peanut, 1/2. And this color palette is just gorgeous. This is In the Library by Mojo Stitches. Mine is on the called for fabric, which is 32 baked clay, and the called for flosses from Cottage Garden Threads. This is the Living Ocean. It's a dimensions, charts, and charms kit. It just comes with the chart and the charms. It doesn't come with the fabric or floss. I started this with my sister-in-law, Debbie, this summer. Mine is on 16 count light blue Aida with the called for DMC. 2/2. And the colors are so fun. This is a Blackberry Lane ornament called Keeping Watch. There are 2 others in the series, one with the kings and one with the Mary and Joseph. I have not fully finished those. Those were the only 2 Christmas ornaments I had that I didn't fully finish because I want to finish this one and finish them all at the same time. That was my reasoning anyway. And it's very similar to I Have an Earth Designs full coverage. It's just a little itty bitty. And I don't have very much done so far. It's 1/1 on 25 count, even weave, full cross. This is a dimensions kit called Village Canal. I'm using the kit floss. But the fabric is a fabric flare. I'll put it in the description box. I can't remember what color of fabric flare it is. No, I think it goes this way. It goes that way. Uh, 2/2, and it looks like 32 count. This is a Letty Stitch kit called Window Seat. Did it come with? Oh, it came with Aida, 16 count Aida. So I'm using the kit floss, and I chose 32 count antique white even weave. Oh, no, that's not right. It goes this way. 2/2. This is Entrelacs Blue or Blue Tracery by Reflet de Soie. You can make it into a big square sampler like that, or you can fold it up into like a little biscornu pillow. Mine is on 40 count Neni Designs burnt sand, and I'm using, it calls for DMC, and I'm using 103 silks that the lovely Susan at Keepsakes picked out for me when I was there. She converted the DMC to the 103 silks for me when I was there at StitchCon. This is Seaside by Liz Matthews. The pattern has you do it on 2 different colors of fabric. I chose 46 count Whimsical by Bestitch Me, I think that's the blue, and 46 count Cream and Sugar by Fiber on a Whim for my top part. And I'm using the called for DMC. And this is what I have so far. This one is Hark the Herald, Angels Sing by Cricklewood Crossing. It's part of the Songs of Praise series that she's doing. I'm doing it on the called for fabric, which is 40 count Bungalow by Forbidden Fiber Company, and I'm using the called for Forbidden Fiber Company floss. It does call for a few DMC, which I substituted for some overdyes. So for the DMC, I'm using Weeks Dye Works Conch, Gentle Arts Glass Slipper, Weeks Dye Works Curry, and Classic Color Works Bamboo. One over two. Such a fun series. I can't wait to do all of them. Oh. This one is Autumn Bingo. The lovely ladies at this Facebook group, Les Petites Croix de Lutine et de Gribouille. That's the name of the Facebook group in France, in French. This is the picture at the top of the Facebook group. They invited me to join their free stitch along that started on the first day of autumn and went until the first day of winter. And the patterns are still available if you join their Facebook group. They're free patterns in the files section. It's all been released now. I just don't have a picture of it. They were releasing one section a week. They'd call a bingo number and then release that section. I started with the called for DMC, and then I substituted out a whole bunch of overdyes from my stash. I'm stitching it on Fabric Flare Leaf 2. And this is how much I have finished. It's so cute. The border, I'm using a Threadworks overdyed that I found in my stash that was almost the exact same colors as the DMC that was called for in the leaf colors. So I'm using that for the border. This is Gather In by Plum Street Samplers. It was a retirement gift from Rika, House of Stitch and Stash. She gave me this chart. So here's a better picture. Mine is on 46 count something. I will put it in the description box. 1/2 with the called for threads. This is the Shared Stitches Garden of Blessings piece from the Shepherd's Bush retreat that was in October. All the designers that were there collaborated. It came with floss and fabric, so that's what I'm using. This is Where Love Grows by Brenda Gervais. She was also at the Shepherd's Bush retreat. This was our retreat kit. So it's on the called for fabric with the called for floss. This was also a kit from the Shepherd's Bush retreat, Swarcy's Garden by the Thread Gatherer. So it's all Thread Gatherer silks and the fabric she provided and the silks that she gave us. This is what I have so far. This is Chessie and Me Garden Blessings. The theme of the retreat was Garden of Blessings. Also a class from the retreat where we were given the thread and the floss and the fabric. This one is Garden of Blessings by Heartstring Sampleries, which was another class I took at the retreat. It also came with the fabric and the floss. This is Matter in Hand by Jeanette Douglas. Several of us that see each other every year at Stitch West usually pick a pattern and then work on it over the next year and then try and finish up by the next time we see each other. And lots of you join in with us. Our leader is Colette, the Highway Stitcher. So we're just doing a section of this each month this year. Feel free to join us. Mine is on 46 count. I'll put it in the description box. I can't remember what I'm behind already, but I'll get caught up this month. It's on a light blue. 1/2 on 46 count. The end of the pile is way back there. And my battery is about to die. This one is Autumn Folk by Hands On Design. I'm going to do all 4 seasons, but I started with autumn. It's on the called for fabric, which is Driftwood by Fabrics by Stephanie, 32 count even weave. 2/2 with the called for thread. This is Winter by the Sea by Jeanette Douglas, part of the Seasons by the Sea series. You can see how they all fit together right here in the center. I bought the embellishment pack for each one, so I have all the lots of specialty threads, lots of specialty stitches, and a little bit of beads, I think. Mine is on, I'll put it in the description box. It's the called for count. I know, it's not the called for color, I don't think. It's kind of a light gray color. This is Wisdom Sampler by Vermilion. I saw Julie stitching at the cabin at Stitch West was stitching on this, and I just fell in love with it and decided I had to stitch it. Mine is on cream linen. .36 count cream linen, 2/2 with the called for DMC floss. It does have blends and lots of color changes, but it's so pretty. And then on December 1st, Colette, the Highway Stitcher, and I decided to start Winter Woods by Satsuma Street. Mine is on 16 count Gothic Ada from Picture This Plus. Oops, just lost a magnet. And I just have that little video at start. Okay, I'm going to go charge my battery and then do a plans video either tonight or tomorrow. Thanks for watching.